Please welcome Simon Sinek. And we start with Brian. There we go. So Simon asked if you can make the cameo, so you want to just get up here, do a little Q&A, or I don't know, we'll just talk and have fun. Here, let me. Try
Ready?
again.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
You want to hand up? Oh, thank you. Okay.
So Simon just showed up. What did you have? Another event or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for stopping by.
I was speaking to accountants.
Sounds fun.
They were lovely.
And so Simon said he would come by for a little bit and.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
20 years old. Wow. Oh. That was me.
Okay. So we celebrated last. Was it? Yeah, it was last week. And 20 years.
Yeah. You've moved from thinking outside the box to thinking on the box.
Yes.
That went over badly. My joke. Never mind.
What made you decide to come say hi?
Well, I love you guys. Yeah. I mean, it's always a joy every time I get to visit your office, and I talk about you all the time, and I brag about you guys. And when I found out that I was going to be here and you were doing this, I called you up and said, I want to come. And so you got me a seat.
So so last week we celebrated. There was all this, I don't know if you saw the video. There was all this confetti and so on. And then it was super hot out, and there was a tent, and most people in the tent couldn't hear what I was saying. So, but part of what I said was talking about just reflecting over the last 20 years. I think if I only learned two things, I think the two most important things I learned over the last 20 years about what separates Zappos from other companies is, number one, most companies don't see their employees as more than just whatever job position and don't understand all the potential and talent that is like there, right within their own organization. And then the second thing I've learned is that most people actually don't even recognize that in themselves, of the potential till they're put in those, in the situation where they have to figure it out.
Think about how many people define themselves by their jobs. Like, you're in sales, or you're an accountant, or you're a doctor, or whatever it is, and then you retire and you stop doing that, and then people go through an identity crisis when they either stop working or change jobs, or if they lose their job, it's like they have no more identity. I always want to be defined by who I am, not what I do. When I give little blurbs and things for books, I always insist that they call me optimist and author. The stuff that I've done has to come second. Who I am and how I see myself and what I view myself in the world. And it is the thing that I think is so magical about you. You and I are both out there preaching that businesses need to see that business is a human enterprise. First, it's called a company. It's like a group of people, literally. And we view people simply as just for their hands, but not for their hearts or their heads or anything they can contribute as human beings.
So what advice would you give we have visitors from other companies, like what advice, we're doing things I can't remember how much you and I have talked about what we're doing in terms of market-based dynamics and having from the beginning, my goal has always been to help employees find the, magic wand is every employee has found the intersection of what they're passionate about, what they're good at, and what adds value to the company. And so I remember when, in the early days of Zappos, when we were 50 or even 100 people, it was very easy for someone to, and we encourage this, if working at the front desk wasn't for you, then go try out merchandising. If that wasn't for you, then, and we've literally had employees be in 8 or 10 different departments over their time at Zappos. But as we got bigger, it's not as easy. You need a system to do that. And so that's the goal of market-based dynamics
Right.
is to build a system that enables circles and employees to search for that intersection, what they're passionate about, what they're good at, and what adds value to the company. But it's kind of a weird system.
Yeah.
So for standard hierarchical companies, what would you recommend?
Well, I mean, look, you represent somebody who's willing to go to the extreme to make the point, to test out the theory. And the other extreme is sort of, unfortunately, what is normal in business today, where we use mass layoffs to balance the books on an annualized basis, and we rank and yank people, and we all of these horrible things where shareholder supremacy, all these horrible things is the other extreme. And it doesn't mean you have to be, there is a middle ground. But I always think that the easiest thing to do for any company is to help people be their best versions of themselves, to help them be human. I hate this concept of soft skills. We call hard and soft skills. Like, soft actually sounds soft, It's hard skills and human skills. And everybody knows that if you want someone to do a job, you have to teach them how to do their job. Like, if you're in sales, we'll teach you how to use the computer, and we'll teach you how to use the phone system, and we'll teach you how to, what our process is. If you're an accountant, you go get a degree in accounting, and you learn how to do the job. And when we're junior, we have to be really good at our jobs. That is our job. And if we're good, we get promoted. And we eventually get promoted to a position where we're now responsible for the people who do the job we used to do, and nobody teaches us how to do that. And so we don't teach leadership. We don't teach the skills that are required to take care of people, which is all leadership is. And the amazing thing is regardless of our rank and regardless of our position, these are skills that we all need. Organizations can do a much better job of teaching us listening and effective confrontation and how to give and receive feedback, and empathy, and patience, and all of these things that if you're going to be a parent, you better start learning them, but if you're going to be a human being, you should probably learn those too. It helps us interact with each other better, with customers better, with vendors better, and at the end of the day, we're more confident in ourselves because we're bringing all those skills back home to our families and our friends. And the best part about it is when an organization gives that kind of education and teaching and training to their people, the net benefit is people feel like the company cares about them as individuals, not as simply somebody who fills a job function. And that's what breeds loyalty and love for our companies. It's so common sense. And it doesn't actually require a lot of money either. You can do these things for a shoestring budget or sometimes even for free.
So what would be a next step for one of the external companies that are in the audience right now, and what would you suggest for the next step for us?
So find a book that teaches these skills and have a book club where everybody in the team reads a chapter, and you come and spend 1 hour per week, do it over lunch if you like, and you talk about it. And what'll start to happen is people will start to have ideas and allow people who have a passion for this to innovate. One of the biggest mistakes companies make is they stop passionate people. Somebody comes and goes, I love leadership. I've read all these books. I've seen all these TED Talks. I've studied all these companies. I would love for our company to build a leadership training program. I will totally volunteer to do it. They go, oh, fantastic. What we really need you to do is develop this training program because you're so good at developing training programs. And they go, okay, why would you stand in the way of a passionate person? Because the great thing about passionate people is not only will they do all the work because they want to and they're learning, but if it doesn't work so well the first time, which it probably won't, they're passionate, which means they'll try again and again, and they'll get all the kinks out and they'll figure it out. And if there are passionate people in all of our organizations who care about listening and empathy and new ways to develop incentive programs, give those people a long runway and let them try things out and experiment on us. And we don't have to force anybody to do it. We can ask for volunteers. Who wants to be the first to go through their training program? And that early adopter mindset, we're all in it together. We're okay. We know that it's imperfect. But what ends up happening is we make things better and better and better and better and better. And it's all homegrown. It costs zero.
So one of the things, I remember when we were 50 or 100 people, and then now at 1,500 people, I would say the vast majority of Zappos employees are all very well intentioned, if not all of them. And so what I noticed was, I don't think it was anyone's fault, and one of our core values is to build a team and family spirit, but from the beginning, it was about consensus building, and that just doesn't scale. It's just a function of the number of people and the structure. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is go from this org chart that's hierarchical to one that's more networked, and as a result of that, under hierarchy, someone with the passion, you need to get your manager's approval, your managers, and so all it takes is one no for an idea to get killed. Whereas in the future state, all it'll take is one yes, because any of the several hundred circles can decide to also be passionate about an idea that someone has.
I think because I love your thinking and I love what you're doing, and I think language sometimes gets in the way. And when we talk about non-hierarchical, the fact of the matter is human beings are naturally hierarchical, and it's not a bad thing. Nobody's offended by it. Like, nobody is morally offended by the fact that somebody who's more senior in the organization makes a higher salary or gets a better parking space. We may think they're an idiot, but we're not offended by the fact that they're given certain perks or advantages because of their rank, and in any population, we're constantly assessing and judging, and we'll defer to those who sort of take a more alpha role. And where we are offended is because the role of an alpha, the role of a leader, is to take care of the team, is to protect, right? The responsibility of leadership is to take care of those around us and see those around us rise. And the closest analogy to great leadership is parenting. There is absolutely a hierarchy in a family. Mom and dad are absolutely higher up than the children, and it's not a democracy, However, from the mother in the room, right? And we all know this, which is parents that attempt to be equal with their children and attempt to be their best friends. It actually fails as a parenting strategy. But at the end of the day, a parent's responsibility is to love and care for that child just desperately. And that you can still discipline someone, you can still correct someone, all of these things still exist. And the same is true in any population, including in an organization, where there's still hierarchy. So if somebody says, I'm going to take responsibility for this project, right? This is the team. And if things fail, it's on me. There's still a hierarchy. And my job as the leader of the group or the team, whether it's anointed or voluntary, is that I'm going to see that the team has all the skills and support that they need so that our project can be a success. And as the leader, I'm not responsible for the results. I'm responsible for the people who are responsible for the results.
Yep. And I guess to clarify, we have this concept called circles, and so for each circle.
No, I know your thing, but my point is when we say we're when we say we're anti-hierarchy.
What were you saying?
Tony asked me before we came out. We'll just Tony asked me before I came out if I minded if he touched my butt. I was just flattered that he asked.
Asked.
Funny. So,
all right, so one joke kind of went over well, and then
we had one. We had one. They liked it when I did the running thing up the side, which, by the way, I was really excited. That was spontaneous because it's a high box, and I thought, what a perfect. It occurred to me while I was running up the box. This is Cirque du Soleil's stage. Like, how perfect to do that, because there's always a funny. Never mind. It's a circus. There's a funny character.
So we don't have much time left, but
should I talk about leadership more and stop trying to make jokes?
You want to talk about our lunch in New York a few years ago, or you want to talk about something else?
Sure. A few years ago, we had lunch in New York.
It's fine.
I think I had the salmon.
And I asked him why.
It was a fun conversation. I decided Tony wanted to know what his...
So, for those of you who don't know, he has a book called Start With Why. And I actually resisted reading it for the longest time because...
Because you're a dick.
Mostly because, and literally, Jen, our friend Jen, and No, mostly when she asked me, I was like, I think I kind of get the idea from the title.
Yeah.
Like, just start with why. So.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. A lot of people in your position, and I've talked to a few who are in your position, more visionary leaders, or more sort of evolved way they think about business. And I say, do you know what your why is? They go, yeah, I know. I'm like, well, have you ever tried to put it into words? They're like, don't need to. I'm like, why? Like, everybody knows. There's this assumption because it's crystal clear to you in your gut that it's automatically crystal clear to everybody. And it's not always.
Well, that's why we had lunch together.
That's why we had lunch
together. Yeah, and so it wasn't a formal session, but because you do these Discover Your Why workshops for
companies,
humans and companies.
Yep.
And so we were just talking over lunch, and he was asking me about my earliest childhood memory or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I actually was born in Illinois and moved to California when I was 5, but the only memory I really have is like catching these fireflies in mason jars at night, and then basically that was like my portable flashlight.
And the question that I asked when you told me the story is, of all the amazing and wonderful, beautiful things that you did as a child, what do you think is it about that memory that stands out to you? What is it that makes that memory? Why would you even tell? What is so important about that memory that you would tell me about that now, or then?
Because you asked what the earliest memory
no,
was.
I know. but there were many other things that happened, and you chose to tell that one. What is it about that one that stands out to you, that makes it special?
I think it was just the. I know, like, fireflies are already cool. They do their things, but then this was a way of like creating or inventing. In my mind, I had invented it, and no one else had ever done that before, and so it was just, I know, creative and fun.
And here's why I ask questions like that, because how Tony sees the world and how we all see the world, we are products of our upbringing. We're products of the experiences we had when we were young that make us who we are, and that it forms our worldview. And so if you Tony, when he is at his best, and more importantly, the organization that he's trying to help build, is he sees everybody as a firefly. He sees the entire world as people with bright lights. He doesn't distinguish, who are the bright ones and who are the dim ones. Everybody has a bright light, and everybody's out there doing their thing. And what Zappos is a container for bright lights. And if you can build
Those are fireflies.
If you can take all these wonderful fireflies that are all by themselves beautiful and fantastic, but if you put them in a container where all of their brightness comes together, you create a flashlight. You can actually light a path for somebody else. And I firmly believe that when you are your best, that is what you are doing with Zappos. Zappos is the jar, and the people that are in this company, which is all of you, you are lighting a path, not only for the people you serve internally, the people you serve externally, but you're showing the rest of us how a business should be built. And if, quite frankly, you are doing the exact same thing now as you were doing when you were 5.
Yeah, and well, thank you for that. I didn't realize that had so much meaning. So.
And it now then, because the why, Tony's why is actually the why of the company, and he and I debated this, it is now everyone's job that all of you, not only fireflies in the jar that we call Zappos, but every single one of you has a responsibility to build a jar yourselves and find the fireflies to put in, whether they're customers you're talking to and you create a bright light together, or they're fellow team members in your circles. Like, everybody has to take responsibility for the maintenance of the jar and make sure that all of the fireflies inside are burning bright. So we all have a macro and micro responsibility.
Yeah, and I think the draft purpose statement that we came up with by the end of the lunch was, I can't remember the exact words, it's something like to...
Create a space for creative people to shine or something.
Yeah, like have a canvas for that unlocks people's creativity and potential, and so that they can create wonderment. I think you came up with the word wonderment.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think we should use the word light. They can create light, because at the end of the day, that's, you know, it's a nice metaphor that doesn't sound so business hackneyed, you know, like so many other terms that go in these things. But creating light is, you're a bright spark in the world of business. You know, business is dark and you guys are bright, and it's lovely.